There's a specific kind of person who learns early that making others smaller makes them feel bigger. They might start in the schoolyard, targeting someone who seems vulnerable, different, or simply available. Or maybe it begins later, in workplaces, in relationships, in online spaces where anonymity provides cover. They criticize, belittle, intimidate, and exclude. They find weak spots and press on them deliberately. They create fear, discomfort, and pain in others, sometimes openly, sometimes so subtly that observers might miss it entirely. And if you've ever encountered someone like this, or if you've ever wondered what drives a person to harm others psychologically, then you know that bullying isn't simple cruelty. It's a complex psychological pattern, one that reveals profound truths about power, pain, and the ways some people learn to manage their own internal chaos by creating it in others. See, people who bully aren't just mean or naturally aggressive. Beneath the surface, there's almost always something else at work, something deeper that drives the behavior. And here's what most people don't understand. Bullying is rarely about the target. It's about the bully themselves, about what they're avoiding, what they're trying to control in a world where they feel fundamentally powerless. The person they're hurting is often just a convenient outlet for pain they don't know how to process any other way. When you look closely at people who engage in bullying behavior, you often find a history of powerlessness. Maybe they grew up in homes where they had no control, where they were subjected to the whims of unpredictable or authoritarian parents. Maybe they experienced their own victimization, bullying, abuse, or neglect that left them feeling small and helpless. Maybe they live in circumstances where they lack agency, where life happens to them rather than being shaped by them. And this chronic experience of powerlessness creates a desperate psychological need to feel powerful somewhere, somehow, over someone. Bullying becomes a way to reclaim power. When you can make someone else afraid, uncomfortable, or submissive, you temporarily escape your own helplessness. You're no longer the one being controlled. You're the one in control. And for someone who spends most of their life feeling weak or insignificant, this sensation of power, even fleeting and false, becomes intoxicating. It doesn't matter that the power is built on causing harm. It doesn't matter that it requires making someone else suffer. What matters is the momentary relief from their own feelings of inadequacy and powerlessness. There's also often a deep well of shame that drives bullying behavior. People who bully frequently carry profound feelings of inadequacy or defectiveness that they cannot face directly. These feelings are too painful, too threatening to their sense of self. So instead of acknowledging and processing this internal shame, they project it outward. They find someone else to embody the qualities they hate in themselves. If they feel weak, they target someone they perceive as weaker. If they feel different or outcast, they attack someone who's visibly different. If they feel inadequate, they diminish someone else's accomplishments or worth. This projection serves a psychological function. By externalizing the shame, by making someone else the repository of everything they hate about themselves, they create temporary distance from their own pain. They can point at someone else and say, that person is the problem. That person is weak, stupid, worthless. And as long as they're focused on someone else's perceived flaws, they don't have to confront their own. The target becomes a mirror they've distorted, reflecting back a version of what they fear they are, allowing them to attack it externally rather than acknowledge it internally. Many people who bully also struggle with emotional regulation. They experience intense emotions, anger, frustration, jealousy, fear, but they lack healthy ways to process or express these feelings. Maybe they never learned emotional literacy because their own caregivers didn't model it. Maybe expressing emotions in their home was met with punishment or ridicule, teaching them that feelings are dangerous and need to be suppressed or redirected. So when difficult emotions arise, they don't know how to sit with them, understand them, or work through them. Instead, they discharge these emotions onto others through bullying behavior. When they feel angry, they make someone else the target of that anger. When they feel inadequate, they tear someone else down to feel superior by comparison. When they feel anxious or threatened, they create anxiety and threaten someone else, externalizing their internal state. The bullying becomes a pressure valve, a way to release emotional intensity without having to actually process the emotions themselves. And because it provides temporary relief, because it offers a momentary sense of control over overwhelming feelings, the behavior becomes reinforced, repeated, habitual. There's also a social dimension to bullying that's psychologically significant. Many people who bully are deeply insecure about their social status, about where they fit in the hierarchy, about whether they're valued or respected by their peers. And they learn that one way to elevate their position is to lower someone else's. By targeting someone and getting others to join in, or at least not intervene, they establish dominance. They demonstrate power. They create a clear hierarchy where they're above the target, and this visible demonstration of status temporarily soothes their insecurity about belonging. In group settings, bullying can become a bonding activity, a way to create in-groups and out-groups. The bully positions themselves as the arbiter of who's acceptable and who isn't, who's in and who's out. And others, often out of their own fear of becoming targets, go along with it. They laugh at the bully's jokes at someone else's expense. They participate in the exclusion or mockery. They become complicit, not because they're inherently cruel, but because aligning with the bully feels safer than opposing them or defending the target. And this social reinforcement strengthens the bully's behavior, confirms their power, makes the pattern more entrenched. But here's what makes the psychology of bullying particularly complex. Many people who bully don't see themselves as bullies. They rationalize their behavior in ways that preserve their self-image. They tell themselves the target deserved it, provoked it, or needs to toughen up. They minimize the harm they cause, insisting it was just joking, just teasing, just trying to help the person improve. They blame the target for being too sensitive, for not being able to take a joke, for making themselves an easy target. This cognitive distortion allows them to continue the behavior without experiencing guilt or shame, because in their narrative, they're not the problem. The target is. Some people who bully operate from a place of profound emptiness. They lack a strong sense of identity, purpose, or internal worth. And this emptiness creates a vacuum that needs to be filled with something. For some, bullying fills that vacuum. It gives them a role and identity as someone powerful, someone to be feared or respected. It creates drama and intensity in lives that otherwise feel meaningless or boring. It provides a sense of purpose, even if that purpose is destructive. And this is particularly common in people who lack positive sources of meaning, who don't have achievements, relationships, or activities that provide genuine fulfillment. There's also often a lack of empathy that characterizes people who bully, though this manifests in different ways. Some genuinely struggle to understand or feel others' emotions. They can observe someone's distress without experiencing any corresponding emotional response. This absence of empathy might stem from developmental issues, from trauma that shut down their emotional responsiveness, or from never having their own emotions acknowledged and validated, making it difficult to recognize emotions in others. Without empathy, there's no internal brake on harmful behavior. They can cause pain without feeling the natural discomfort that would typically stop someone from continuing to hurt another person. Others have empathy but suppress it. They can understand that they're causing harm, can sense the target's pain, but they override these feelings because the psychological benefits of bullying, the sense of power, the relief from their own shame, the social status outweigh the moral discomfort. They've learned to disconnect from their empathetic responses, to view the target as less than human, as deserving of mistreatment, as not worthy of moral consideration. This suppression of empathy is often reinforced by group dynamics, where everyone else seems comfortable with the bullying, making it easier to silence internal objections. People who bully often have rigid thinking patterns about hierarchy, dominance, and worth. They see the world in terms of winners and losers, strong and weak, valuable and worthless. And they're terrified of being in the latter categories, so they constantly work to establish themselves as winners, as strong, as valuable, often by designating others as losers, weak, worthless. This zero-sum thinking means that for them to feel good about themselves, someone else has to be beneath them. There's no conception of mutual respect, of everyone having inherent worth, of strength that doesn't require making others weak. Their entire psychological framework depends on hierarchy and domination. There's also frequently a learned behavior component. Many people who bully witness bullying in their homes or communities growing up. Maybe they watched a parent dominate or belittle the other parent. Maybe they saw older siblings target younger ones without consequences. Maybe their cultural or social environment normalized aggressive dominance as a way to establish status. They learned through observation that this is how power works, how you get respect, how you protect yourself from being vulnerable. The behavior was modeled for them, and they replicated it, often without conscious awareness that there are other ways to relate to people. Some people who bully are dealing with their own trauma in destructive ways. They experience harm, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, and instead of processing that trauma, they perpetuate it. They recreate the dynamics they experienced, but this time in the position of power rather than helplessness. This repetition gives them a false sense of mastery over their trauma. If they can do to others what was done to them, but from the aggressor's position, maybe they can rewrite their own narrative, transform from victim to victor. But this doesn't actually heal anything. It just creates more pain, spreads the trauma outward, and keeps them locked in patterns that prevent genuine recovery. What's particularly tragic is that bullying, despite providing temporary psychological relief, ultimately reinforces the bully's core problems. The momentary sense of power doesn't build real confidence. The externalized shame doesn't resolve internal worthlessness. The social status built on fear doesn't create genuine connection, so the relief is always temporary, requiring repeated acts of bullying to maintain. And over time, this pattern damages the bully themselves. They don't develop healthy relationships. They don't build genuine self-esteem. They don't learn emotional regulation or conflict resolution. They remain trapped in a cycle that provides momentary relief while preventing actual growth. Many adults who bullied others when younger eventually experience regret, sometimes profound regret. As they mature, as they develop greater emotional awareness, as they experience their own vulnerability, they begin to understand the harm they caused. They recognize that their targets were real people with real pain, that their actions had lasting consequences, that the power they felt was hollow and the damage was real. And this recognition can be devastating. Some seek to make amends, others carry guilt silently. Some work to break the pattern with their own children or in their current relationships. But the harm is already done, and this realization comes too late for those they hurt. But not everyone who bullies experiences this growth. Some continue the pattern throughout their lives, adapting it to different contexts. The schoolyard bully becomes the workplace bully, targeting subordinates or colleagues. The relational bully moves from romantic partner to romantic partner, using emotional manipulation and control. The online bully hides behind anonymity, spreading cruelty in digital spaces. The behavior persists because the underlying psychological issues, the powerlessness, the shame, the lack of emotional regulation remain unaddressed. And without intervention, without genuine psychological work, the pattern continues, creating harm wherever they go. Understanding the psychology of people who bully doesn't excuse the behavior. It doesn't diminish the real harm caused to targets, but it does illuminate why the behavior exists, what drives it, what maintains it. And this understanding is important because it reveals that stopping bullying requires more than just punishing bullies. It requires addressing the underlying psychological and social conditions that create bullying behavior. It requires helping people develop emotional regulation skills, build genuine self-worth, process trauma, learn empathy, and find healthy sources of power and meaning. For targets of bullying, understanding this psychology can provide a measure of relief. Recognizing that the bullying isn't really about you, that you're not the cause of someone else's cruelty, that their behavior reflects their own pain and dysfunction rather than your worth, can help break the internalization of shame that bullying often creates. You didn't deserve it, you didn't cause it. You were simply there when someone who was hurting needed an outlet for pain they couldn't manage any other way. And for people who recognize bullying tendencies in themselves, understanding this psychology is the first step toward change. Recognizing that the behavior serves a psychological function means you can find healthier ways to meet those needs. You can learn to feel powerful through genuine competence rather than domination. You can process shame through therapy rather than projection. You can regulate emotions through healthy coping strategies rather than harming others. The pattern can be broken, but it requires honest self-examination, willingness to feel uncomfortable emotions, and commitment to developing different ways of relating to others and to yourself. Because ultimately, people who bully are also suffering, even as they cause suffering. They're trapped in patterns that provide temporary relief while preventing genuine healing. They're seeking power in ways that reveal their powerlessness. They're trying to escape shame through behaviors that create more shame. And while this doesn't excuse the harm they cause, it does reveal the tragedy at the heart of bullying. Everyone involved is diminished, everyone is harmed, and the cycle continues until someone has the courage to break it.